year for both you and the team. How did that feel in the moment?
It was great, man. I think that when we go on like that, we're a tough team to beat, but it all comes with our ball movement, don't forget how many assists we had, but that's our style of play, when the ball's humming and, everybody gets to touch the ball and everybody feels good.
What about this group makes responding to 20-point losses something you guys do routinely, even in a postseason setting?
I think we thrive in adversity. I think that, when after last game, obviously we know what was wrong. It was the rebounds. They were more physical than us, and then once we were able to actually watch it on film and see what was going on, I think it just woke something up in us. I think that's typically what happens. Especially this time of the year. I think that we have a special group, and again, adversity is something I think we thrive in.
I just talked about Rick yesterday. What about him, you think stands out as his best skill between games, especially ones you lose, and in terms of adjustment, how he takes you through film, stuff like that?
Well, one is Rick and his staff. Rick he's someone who doesn't just try to take control of all situations, whether it's, Jenny, Mike, Floyd Pierce, all these guys, man, they work tirelessly. I think that our staff, our red team, that's what we call them, a green team, our guys will go over scout, the day before, those guys don't get enough credit. So I think Rick is, he's able to listen. He's able to command respect too. I think that's one big thing that's, an underrated skill in most coaches. When he talks, people listen, and I think that he did an amazing job just getting us ready.
Just, I guess, keeping with the theme of the adjustment, how did you guys kind of identify that your opportunity against the 3-2 was to kind of find a smaller defender on that back line and post him? Because it seemed like you were able to do that, Pascal was able to do that, Obi. How did that get you guys started, and how did sort of everything open up with the ball moving from there?
It was a multitude of things. I think it was good to, see it on film, and see, where we struggled with the ball, stuck a bit, and, I'm not gonna go ahead and dissect the entire offense, but yeah, I think that, it was good for us to, see it, feel it, and be able to adjust.
What just got you going personally? At what point could you just feel that there was some opportunity there, and that you had some clean looks, basically you got a chance to just get going?
It wasn't nothing in particular. I just think I was just being aggressive. I saw daylight, you just take advantage of it. But whenever you're able to pass the ball too, now that I really know what happens, I was able to hit, Obi on a cut in the baseline, and I was able to hit Aaron in the corner. And, other assists, not even sure what they were, but now you have the defense on their heels, and I'm going to shoot or pass it, so I think that got me going as well.
Just what impressed you about Pascal and Obi both? It seemed like they really got you started going offensively. What do you think they just did well in those post-ups, and how big was it to get those guys started, and especially get Pascal rolling early?
Yeah, Pascal, he got in early foul trouble, and for any player, they'll tell you like that. It eats at you a little bit because you can't be out there, you can't be as aggressive. But I think he did a good job of coming in and picking and choosing the spots and really picked us up. Obi has been consistent all year with his shooting. I think that he did a good job of being aggressive and going to the post. But Obi's just doing Obi things. There's nothing just very different, to me personally. I just think that he was able to be a little more aggressive tonight.
You talked a lot yesterday in practice about playing with more force. What did you think about the full court pressure you guys put on the Cleveland's backcourt and just kind of making it harder for them to get to their offense early on?
Yeah, we call it the wear down effect. We're being picked up 94 feet over the course of a 48-minute game and a 7-game series. You're going to start to feel that, and we're in shape for it. We've been preparing for it for years. Honestly, just over the past 3-4 years, we've been stealing it, and I was impressed with we was able to keep them off the glass. That was obviously a big part of our golden night. And yeah, I think overall it was a great effort.
Myles here in the back. After a dominant win like this, what does it do for this team knowing you're one win away from repeating, getting back to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Let's do a thing. Job's not finished. Great quote the great Kobe Bryant. I think that that's real. You got to be able to go into hostile territory and be able to stay focused. I think that people are gonna start talking about us now. We're this, we're that. We got to keep our heads down. Keep our blinders on and just keep rolling, man. Just ignore the noise and continue to keep playing our brand of basketball.
Myles, last one I believe, but you wrote the Player Tribune article. You come out and have a Q to him tonight. When you're living in the moment you talked about in the article, what is that like, and what compelled you to, I guess, put yourself out there in that format?
To answer your first question, it's dope, man. It's just when preparation meets opportunity. I've really been, once I got my first experience, last year getting out the first round, it became addicting. I wanted to experience that again, and here we are a year later, doing the same thing, and continue to do the same thing. So it's really a beautiful moment in sports, and not a lot of people get to experience this level of success, and I don't take it for granted. I actually I met with Tyson Chandler this summer. Obviously has a great relationship with Rick. And he said he was in the league for 17, 18, 19 years, whatever it was. He said he only had 2 legitimate opportunities, to try to win a championship in that 17, 18, 19-year career. So, I don't know, where my career would take me, but living in the moment and being present is something I've been very keen on, and something I've been trying to, get our guys to, understand as well. It's just being in this present moment. And as far as the article is concerned, I've never had a problem being vulnerable, and just sharing my journey. And because I know I've been through a lot, but I know I'm not the only person out there who's been through a lot. At the end of the day, it's sports, man. It's entertainment. There's people go through stuff on a real life basis. So, if I can share a little bit of my, journey, or a little bit of my my livelihood, I don't know who I'm helping out there, but hopefully it's somebody. And I think it was just a great timing, obviously, just for the city, being able to experience, us playing at a high level and just having fun with it overall.
Myles, Rick had mentioned that you guys were underdogs in every playoff game so far. You probably will be again. Is it possible to still keep an underdog mentality when you have a 3-1 series lead?
Absolutely, yeah. Nah, bro. Again, this is a 7-game series. At the end of the day, I think that we know the opportunity. That's just kind of like low-hanging fruit right in front of us. But that team was number 1 in the East for a reason. They're not just gonna lay down. So we got to go in there and earn the series as opposed to just letting it just happen.
Thank you, Myles.
Thanks, everybody.